BXB. It's in the game.
I wouldn't be exaggerating when I said I loved Star Wars. It's what got me into reading, it's what got me into sci-fi, it's what got me into movies as a kid. I wouldn't be the man I am today without Star Wars. Okay, that's a bit much, but it was a big influence. So here I am reviewing the hottest new Star Wars game, Star Wars Battlefront 2, on the Xbox One. Now, Star Wars Battlefront 2 adds one massive thing over its predecessor, and that is a single-player campaign. Much asked for, much demanded by the fans, the guys at DICE and Motive and Criterion have absolutely 100% delivered on an engaging and fun Star Wars campaign in the sequel to the original Battlefront. In this, we're playing as Iden Versio. She is the leader of Inferno Squad, a hit, crack, absolutely amazingly badass group of Imperial commandos that get sent on the toughest missions to do the Empire's dirty work. Now, I'm not going to get into spoilers, but I really enjoyed my time with Iden. She is 100% a badass. She's so cool. She's so well performed. The mocap is fantastic. The voice capture is amazing. I was absolutely drawn in to her performance specifically within this campaign. Now, within the campaign, we get to see and play as various other major characters throughout the Star Wars universe. Obviously, the voice actors not available for some of those roles, but they've been voiced by really good stand-ins, I have to say. People that might have done the roles in, say, Rebels or other animated sort of TV shows that Star Wars has produced, and I've really enjoyed my time playing as those characters as well. Now, Iden's arc takes on a real journey that spans everything from sort of the end of Return of the Jedi through to the Battle of Jakku, and then even up to The Force Awakens. And I'm not going to spoil it, like I said before, but I thought the revelations, the pacing, the way in which we got to experience different perspectives throughout this campaign was really well handled. I really enjoyed it. Now, I've played a lot of Battlefront 2 on my 4K HDR TV, on the Xbox One X, and I've also played a lot on a 1080p set. And the 1080p set actually has one benefit. It's the cutscenes, which I'm not actually able to capture here for the footage, but the cutscenes are presented in 1080p, so when you're seeing them on a 4K screen, they look really quite awful, and on 1080p screens, the sort of transition between the two is far less jarring. And what DICE here has made is an incredibly competent and compelling campaign. While the set pieces maybe aren't as dynamic and stand out as those which we found in Battlefield 1 or the Call of Duty games, the environments feel very much like they have been retrofitted from the multiplayer experience and then expanded upon in certain areas to make the campaign work. It's cool to know that the story of Battlefront 2 is completely 100% canon, and therefore may even get referred to in other TV shows. There's already a prequel book that I might be picking up just off of how much I enjoyed the characters here in Battlefront 2. It's not going to blow you away, though. The story, while I found it compelling and fun, isn't exactly groundbreaking. The writing isn't exactly, transcendent. It's, what it is. It's a Star Wars story told in the way you'd expect, with the set pieces and the vehicle sort of areas you expect. There's lots of dogfighting, there's lots of shooting, there's getting in vehicles, there's playing as different characters, and there's getting to know the game, and it almost works as sort of a tutorial to the multiplayer experience, explaining how things like the star card system works, how the different abilities work, and how that refers to and influences sort of normal first-person shooter combat and also combat in space. But I had fun with this. I want more. There's planned content to expand upon the story coming in the coming months, which is great. I'm really excited about that. It ends in a way that has me hooked in for more, and I'm excited to see what we get from Iden and the rest of Inferno Squad. So that's the major new element of Battlefront 2 that I wanted to address first of all. But the biggest thing, the most important part of Battlefront 2 is the multiplayer suite. So in Battlefront 2's multiplayer, we have 5 multiplayer modes. We have Galactic Assault, we have Starfighter Assault, we have a smaller objective-based team game mode, and we have a sort of smaller heroes mode, in which in this time, instead of just playing as heroes, you work as a team with heroes to compete with each other. And then we have a sort of just regular team deathmatch mode. And I've played all of these extensively. Now Battlefront 2's another big change is that we have classes back in Battlefront, and that means you can specialize as assault, as a specialist, as a officer, and other various classes, and then of course the heroes come into play and they have their own styles of play as well. I really enjoyed the multiplayer in this game. I enjoyed it in the first one, and even in the early iterations of Battlefront that existed on the other console hardware. However, what we've got here, as you can see at every turn, even in my 720p capture, is a stunning game. The game that immerses you so wonderfully into the Star Wars universe, that really enables you to live out those fantasies that you had as a child of being able to run around, fighting stormtroopers as the rebels, or even being the Empire yourself if that was your kind of thing, and it was my kind of thing. Obviously you get to play as special characters like Wookiees and Han Solo and Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader and all the rest, much like you could in the previous game, and I think the class sort of combat adds a little bit more sort of specialization and tactics. It makes you think about how you want to deploy into the sort of combat scenarios you're presented with that are brought up in the sort of galactic assault mode. So, you know, you might want to help out as an officer class, which was my favorite class to play as, actually buffing my teammates, dropping turrets, things like that. Or you might want to go in as a heavy assault character with a rapid fire, a heavy blaster or something to that effect to really lay down a lot of suppression fire and stuff like that. So there's lots of variety, there's more depth than ever, it's beautiful to play and it sounds amazing, and I can't stress the immersion level. In 1080p or 4K on the Xbox One S or the Xbox One X, Battlefront 2 is a technical masterpiece. DICE, Motive Criterion, they have absolutely knocked it out of the park with this game. It's a stunning experience. Now, one of the modes I really enjoyed my time with personally, because it really made me feel like I was living out a fantasy of when I was 7 years old when I first got into Star Wars, was Starfighter Assault. These huge dogfights with, you know, varying objectives that roll over, that change as you go through them, you know, attacking or defending as the good guys or the bad guys. You're in X-Wings, you're in TIE Fighters, you're in the Clone Era ships, which are, you know, let's be honest, less memorable. But, you know, you've got the hero ships in there as well, the Millennium Falcons, the Poe Dameron X-Wings, the Darth Maul ship, the ship that Kylo Ren has, you name it, it's in there, and you get to experience it, and it looks so good, and it feels so accurate. I absolutely adored this mode, and I can see myself sinking more and more time into this as, you know, the game goes on its sort of live service support that's coming from EA and DICE. There's going to be new content coming, and I can't wait to experience the stuff that's coming out for The Last Jedi, which I'm obviously also really excited for as we approach that release. So I've been just heaping praise upon this game, haven't I? I absolutely love this game. This game can do no wrong. It's brilliant. But it would be remiss of me not to talk a little of the controversy. If you want us to hear me digging more into that and experience more of us discussion of the controversy, please check out the BXB Bits and Bobs podcast, in which we discussed it thoroughly. However, that's not really what I'm going to go into too much detail of here on this review. At the time of release, at the time of review, microtransactions have been completely disabled within the game. Now, progression is still tied very closely to a loot box unlock system, which is quite odd and actually requires a full explanation video on the main screen of the game to really help you understand how the card system works and how it unlocks different abilities as you progress through leveling up and sort of getting better with the characters. Now, it's a, you know, random number generated card system, which means you can't really dedicate unlocking into one class because you're going to get so much sort of sundry elements. Now, there's a crafting system, which means the crafting points you get you can use to unlock specific star cards within specific classes. However, it's a slower process that is gated behind the level you're currently at as well. Now, this whole system obviously has come to the front as being somewhat egregious because of the microtransactions and the pay-to-win nature of the game. And I want to talk about pay-to-win a little bit because I was reviewing and have been reviewing the base standard version of Battlefront 2. I then went out and bought the Inferno Squad, or the Elite Trooper Edition, I think it's called actually, which gave me a bunch of extra unlocks as part of this £20 purchase. Now, that's things like higher level cards, which gave me access to and then it also gave me access to better weapons immediately for every class of the game, as well as a mod that even improved them further. And what I found was, with those unlocks, I was better at the game. I was better in multiplayer. I was more effective. There's no two ways around it. So that is straight up pay to win. You can't really deny that. And it's a shame to see, and I think maybe EA is going to have to look long and hard at how they release games going forward due to the huge amount of negative press and negative consumer reaction that has come up because of these decisions. And like I said, at time of release, this game has no microtransactions. They are probably, we don't really know, coming back, but you know, you can only unlock stuff through playing the game right now. However, there is this digital version of the game, this fancy version, which if you buy it will give you an immediate, very noticeable boost to performance in multiplayer. Take that as you will. But with these factors in mind, it does somewhat affect my overall score of Battlefront 2. And as a fan, as a massive fan of Star Wars, this is the most perfect, just unbelievable fan service. It transports me to this world in a way that no game in the Star Wars universe has ever done before. I've had a great time playing the single player and a fantastic time playing multiplayer, which I know I'm going to keep playing. But considering how this game has been monetized post-release, this full-priced game, this AAA game, considering that and how you can go and buy an Elite Edition upgrade that gives you what can only be described as a pay-to-win advantage, it makes it very difficult to give this game a full 100% no caveats recommendation. So I'm going to have to sort of cap my score and cap my review with nothing more than a 3 out of 5 stars.
BXB. It's in the game.